What's up, 208 fans? It's August 11th, preseason one nearly in the books. So we're super excited about that. Lots to discuss. We're going to wrap it up with a little bit of mock draft and some news and whatever else goes. Hit that subscribe button, file on in right now, and let's get started. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Matt, good. Hey, next time your daughter tries to critique, or the missus tries to critique your energy coming with that, tell her not to kill your vibes, man. When you come in hot.
So solemn, such a solemn opening.
Solemn. Okay, next time I'll hammer it. More gas is what I'm hearing. More gas.
More gas.
More cowbell.
I know she's trying to wave right now. She just stuck in
Hey, there you go.
Go to bed. Go to bed.
Well, we had lots going on in football. Holy cow! Lots of some cool things we've seen from some players. But let's just jump right into it. Let's get into the news.
What's going on?
What do you have for us, gentlemen? Chance, let's start with you. What's cooking?
Yeah, just a few, as with football starting up, we've had a few injuries, a few things have popped up to some fantasy relevant players. I think one of the bigger ones was the Hollywood Brown injury. Hollywood Brown and Matt, what did he sprained an AC joint? Is that what you said it was?
I believe it's his SC joint. It's where the clavicle meets the sternum, and that can rotate, right? So I'm not a doctor or anything like that. Just I've dealt with it in the past, but that rotates, and if it gets hit right and you hurt the cartilage in there, you can create some pretty good damage, and it's constantly moving. When your arms go up and down, it's tough. When receivers go up for the ball, right? That's very, very painful and uncomfortable. So we'll see how much time he's out, but it could be lengthy.
Yeah. So Tyreek had the same injury a couple of years ago when he was on the Chiefs and missed about 4 weeks of football.
So I mean, we'll see how that is. I saw a stat with the starters, and Xavier Worthy, man, he ran with the ones a lot. So I think that with Hollywood out, I think Xavier Worthy's stock's going to go all the way up.
I hope so. It seemed like the stat that I read, like he was only being used in 11 personnel, which the Chiefs probably predominantly use 3 wide receiver sets. So I hope he takes over that role a little bit. But all this stuff about Rashee Rice, I just don't think anything's gonna happen to him, and he's going as the wide receiver 30 something. Man, I might start to try to get some shares of him.
I'm in the same boat. I am. The closer we get to the season, the more I'm drafting Rashee Rice, because he was wide receiver 1 last year for the Chiefs. And if nothing happens, you're getting a steal. A steal. I don't care how excited you are about how fast Xavier Worthy is. If Rashee Rice is going to be the guy, especially to start the season.
Yeah, for sure. Should be fun. What else you got, Chance?
Let's see. A few other injuries. Exciting rookie Marshawn Lloyd re-aggravated a hamstring. So we'll see dealing with that injury. Malik Neighbors was taken off the field today with a mild ankle sprain. I don't think it's anything terrible, but he's got a lot of hype. He's going to be super exciting. Those ankle sprains can be tricky as you work back from them.
Does it concern you guys that he it seemed like he got open every route that he ran, but he didn't get a single target?
Yeah, no targets for Neighbors today.
It doesn't bother me. I think that he's still going to be such a stud. Just the reports from camp and the way that they talk about him, it's funny. I think that there's so much more hype around Malik Neighbors. Oh, even over Marvin Harrison Jr., right? There's just not a lot of Marvin Harrison Jr. hype coming out of camp. But I think it's because he's just coming out and he just is that dude, right? You can't hype a guy any more than the stud he already was. So, I don't know. I think that's why Neighbors is getting so much hype, because they're listen, he is the brightest spot on an offense that doesn't have many of those.
Yeah, and his teammate also looked pretty good in Tyrone Tracy, so keep an eye on him. And remember, guys, it's just one preseason game. You don't everything's pretty vanilla, offense and defense. Just trying to see who we like, get people out there, and people that'll pass the eye test a little bit. A couple players that I liked. I thought Caleb Williams looked really good. They rolled him out kind of like we thought they would. Had some good throws to DJ Moore, so on and so forth. So one of my Bears looking good. And secondary to that, Bo Nix looked pretty good. Chance.
Oh, I was good.
Looks like he's being the start guy.
You stole my thunder. I was so excited. Bo Nix looks so good. 15 for 21 for 125 yards and a tutty. And Josh Reynolds just missed a touchdown. Oh, should have been 2 tutties. He looked good.
Yep. Finally, the 2 guys that I do want to bring up just a little bit too, just for some news, some clarification here. CeeDee Lamb, I just posted one last night. I'm fading CeeDee Lamb as the number 2 overall pick. I don't know what Jerry's world is going on there. There was a text out, a message out today, kind of getting to him saying, "Hey, CD, we miss you." So it's like, oh boy, right? So but I don't know. Staying away from him. And then also the Ayuk Days of Our Lives drama is still in effect. He's with the 49ers apparently now. Who knows if he'll be next week. We'll see if they can get something done.
Well, and you guys saw the trade report for the Browns. It came out that there was a deal in place to send Ayuk to the Browns. It included the Niners would get back Amari Cooper, was it a 3rd and a 5th? Or a second and a 5th. 2nd and a 5th for Ayuk. And Ayuk said, no, thank you. Hard pass. So a trade was in place. A package was ready.
He doesn't want to play with Baltimore, dude. He doesn't want to play with him, dude. I get that.
Deshaun Watson. Yeah. Deshaun Watson's going to be – listen, if you believe anything that the national hero that is Jameis Winston says, knick-knack, paddywhack, give that dog a bone. Deshaun Watson's going to ball this year.
I hope not.
Oh, we hope. Justin, any news from your end?
Well, I just want to
jump into our main course.
I just want to make sure we give our audience a little bit of chat. So Josh Halpa said, "Don't sleep on Zach Wilson." So Chance, tell us about Zach Wilson. What do you think about him?
Listen, Zach Wilson threw himself a touchdown today. I really don't think he's gonna make the roster. I just don't think he's gonna make the roster, you know. But also, like, I don't know. I just don't think he is gonna be a factor on that team. If he does, I think it'll be Bo Nix, Jared Stidham, and then Zach Wilson at the bottom. And again, we go back to that Sean Payton came out and said that with all of his when he released the roster for the preseason, he just put the rookies at the bottom of every position. So he just added the rookies to the bottom. So there's no real like, oh my gosh, Zach Wilson listed above him. Well, that's just the way Sean Payton does things. It's not a big deal. But I don't believe in Zach Wilson.
So a few things that I want to talk about. So the Cowboys are monitoring Miles Sanders and Dalvin Cook. So that'll be kind of interesting. And to go along with that, I wish the Cowboys drafted Braylon Allen so bad. Braylon Allen,
he looked good.
A monster. He is disgusting. I wish he was on a team where he would get carries. It's so depressing. Like, it feels like Zach Charbonnet all over again. Like, I just wish I think Chance was like super high on Braylon Allen. Like, we'd always talk about it at school. He was like, he's been on the Braylon Allen train since like Braylon Allen was like 60 years old. It feels like, but like, it just sucks that he's stuck behind Brees. Juju got cut. Interesting. The fall demise of typical Pittsburgh wide receiver after they get traded. Ben Sinnott.
Yes.
It's not if he breaks out, it's when. Like, that's how I totally feel about it. Like, let's remember Zach Ertz, his past 2 tight end jobs. Dallas Goedert got traded to the Cardinals, and then he was his backup, Trey McBride.
Mm-hmm.
So we just count on him breaking out. He's a stud. He runs mean. He runs kind of like George Kittle.
Yeah.
Gets that yak. He just looks for contact, which you love to see. And then an interesting one that me and Matt were talking about was Ty Chandler and Aaron Jones splitting carries with the first team with the Vikings. So I've been out on Aaron Jones. Not saying I'm right yet, but
that's some cold water on my Aaron Jones love from the last episode. I'm high on Aaron Jones. That Ty Chandler scares me a little bit.
All right, guys, that's our news. Let's jump right into our mock draft here. It's gonna be fun. We've got some of our friends hanging with us. Let's get it right now. Ooh, let me take that up there. Now let's do it.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for a chance to start fist bumping one of these times when the drops go down.
Don't. We're gonna do a pod right after I hit the gym, and I'll have that pre-workout pumping in me, and I'm just
there. You go,
ham.
So here's our mock draft. This is a 12-team PPR. Chance is in the 1 spot. I will be in the 11th spot, and Justin will be in the 8th spot. We do have some of our friends gonna join us here. So we got about a minute. We're gonna talk about the picks as we go. Maybe what our architecture would be from these draft spots, and kind of see what that looks like. So without further ado, we're gonna jump right into it. And Chance, you are on the board, my friend.
And I'll be honest with you, up until this last weekend, I would 100% be
pick your guy, Chance.
MC at the 1, but
take him.
I'm really thinking about Tyreek Hill as well here.
Nice.
Because Tyreek Hill could easily be a 101 choice. I mean, CD has the contract issues. I don't trust Justin Jefferson's quarterback stuff. I don't know if Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown are high enough. I could go Bijan safe at the 101 here, and I'd be totally okay. But, as my time ticks away, Christian McCaffrey, I could either have a guy who's hurt and I'm screwed, or I could have a guy who beats the RB2 by 100 points. So for me, as of right now, it's CMC at 101.
Oh, I thought you were going to take
CMC off the board.
That's
not, you know what? That's
so close.
That 101 safe pick. Lamb's going to go behind him. Again, I disagree on the CeeDee Lamb pick at number 2. Again, I referenced my 3 guys to avoid in their current ADP. But again, McCaffrey's a safe pick. I think you're going to find a lot of drafts where he's going to go the 101. And there's nothing wrong with that. So.
To go with the handcuff conversation that we've talked about a lot, how do you guys feel about Jordan Mason?
Oh, man, he looks so good. I am so... I think Elijah Mitchell is I think he's a good player and a good backup. Another guy that I would look at is Cody Schrader out of Mizzou. He's an undrafted free agent, but Trey Sermon is a great example of a higher end draft capital guy like Isaac Garendo. That if he doesn't show up and show out, Shanahan doesn't care. He wants guys who love ball. And Cody Schrader was a walk-on at Mizzou who led the SEC in rushing last year. That dude loves ball. He seems like a Shanahan guy, but I would agree. Jordan Mason seems like the guy right now as the handcuff.
You have to get him. If you draft Christian McCaffrey, it feels like a Blake Corum situation where you have to take him. So.
And I am going to try that on this draft. I'm going to see how far he falls, because you should have one of the Niners backups.
Correct.
As the draft kind of went down, the 3 pick went Bijan Robinson. We expect him to go high in the draft. It certainly fits well. Amon St. Brown, it's Sun God at 104.
Tyreek Hill, crazy.
Yeah, over Tyreek Hill. Maybe, you know what, some people just want their guy. I will tell you, outside of Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb, I mean, St. Brown, he's guaranteed 20 points, in my opinion. He's about as steady as they get. Jefferson at the 106 with the CPU pick. What's your guys' thoughts about Jefferson at 6 right there? Is that something you worry about? Is that too early for you guys?
I think it's too early for me. Even Jamar Chase, to me, is in the conversation as the wide receiver 2 off the board. I mean, I think I would take Jamar Chase over CeeDee Lamb, right there with Amon-Ra, over Justin Jefferson, just because, to me, there's no questions, right? The question is Joe Burrow, but if Joe Burrow is healthy, Jamar Chase is going to eat.
Yeah, so we're at my pick. Jamar Chase just went off. I didn't really care if I got Jamar Chase or Brees Hall. This is super easy. I get a top 3 back. Super easy pick for me. With Brees, I hope one of these running backs like Gibbs, JT, or Saquon comes back to me this second round. So we'll kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, I think Hall is a steal at the 8 pick, in my opinion. A.J. Brown, Puka Nacua come off at the 9-10. Nakua's interesting. The more and more Puka keeps climbing, the more and more I don't want shares of him. He's too high for me with Cooper Kupp kind of still healthy, and really has been healthy all offseason. So he's going to take some volume away from Puka.
Exactly. And Cooper Kupp to me could 100% be that guy who just at the end of the season we go, why didn't we see it coming? Why didn't we just know that Cooper Kupp was good on an offense that features him, and he finishes as a top 5 guy?
Gibbs. Oh, all the running backs are gone now.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So the Gibbs went off the board. I actually was going to try to take Kyron Williams on the turn and go Gibbs, Kyron, because I'm very high on Kyron. But so it goes Gibbs, Williams, Barkley, turn back to me, and it kind of in a tough spot here. But I think I'm going to try to stay balanced.
Matt, take him. I know who you want. You better take him.
Oh my gosh! Too early. Too early if you take him.
Take him, man. Take him, man.
I think I'm going to go. No, I think I'm going to go with Garrett Wilson here. Garrett Wilson's a very, very balanced. I think he's going to do. Look, Aaron Rodgers just has to be 80% of what he was last year, and he's still going to be good. After Garrett Wilson goes Marvin Harrison Jr. and JT, which I certainly could have taken either one of those two and been fine with. This 8 spot will be interesting for you, Justin, but I'm going to let you to marinate on it. Go ahead, Chance.
It's like such a wide receiver dead zone right now.
And I have a question for you guys. Do either of you feel comfortable with Marvin Harrison as your wide receiver 1? Because he is going to be a lot of people's wide receiver 1. How do you feel about that?
I'm fine with it. I think he'll do pretty well. I did it with the best ball. I mean, he's my wide receiver 2, but that's just because everybody was taking running backs. But that's how I feel. Matt, you can answer, then I'll talk about who I picked.
Yeah, I think that 10 spot was interesting to go Nakua Harrison. I think it would have been better to go Puka and then JT there. I do like Harrison. I don't know that I like him as my number 1 if I can help it, because he's still a rookie, but I don't know. Harrison comes off, JT come off, and Justin did take London. I'm big on London. I wish I could get him a little bit later, but that's kind of where he's been going, is that middle of 2.
I thought you were going to take him. I thought you were going to take him at your second pick.
No, that's too high for me. I like Wilson.
I thought he was going to take Harrison, but my Drake London thinking is like, again, reading all the camp reports, like it feels like he gets 50 to 60% of the targets. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is with Drake London. Kirk Cousins has constantly provided wide receiver 1 type numbers. Like, he just needs to be a top 12 wide receiver, and I don't think that's that hard, this offense. It seems like they're gonna shape this offense around the routes that Drake is really good at. They threw a fade in the red zone for the first time in 3 years, which was nuts. I was so pumped, and I think he's going to eat those. So,
yeah. London came off, like I said, at the 205 for Justin. Laporta came off, was the first tight end at the 2-6. Olave, Etienne, and then the first quarterback, Josh Allen. So far, nothing crazy. I think Laporta probably could have waited a little bit, but I do like Laporta as a potential number 1 tight end there, easy. And then coming back around, so we got Josh Allen, Nico Collins, Devon A-Chain, and then Chance is up here. Any issues with any of those picks from your point of view, Justin, while Chance is selected here?
Definitely Sam Laporta feels early. I don't mind the Josh Allen, especially in a 12-team league. Nico, I love Nico, but like, I don't know, dude. That offense is weird. Like, Tank Dell looks like a freak, like Chance's guy. Like, they keep gassing up Stephon Diggs. I still think Nico's the one and the typical guy. Devon Achane, like I said, it just feels like pick your poison every day of the week with those 3 running backs.
So I've got back-to-back picks here, and I'm really excited because with McCaffrey being kind of suspect, I'm going to go with what I think is a really high floor running back to balance that out in Derrick Henry. Okay. I know he's older. I got old running backs, but I think they're both real secure. And then oh my gosh, I shot myself in the foot a little bit here because I want to take my wide receiver 1. And
this is really tough.
It's tough. Normally I would take Ayuk here, but I don't know if I want to double up. I don't know if I want a team stack.
Can I guess who you want to take?
You can guess who I want to take, and there's definitely a guy I want to take, but I just feel like it's such a reach.
It's Debo. It's got to be Debo, right?
It's not Debo. I want to take Cooper Kupp here. Or DK. But I don't.
DK's been your guy.
Debo or DK, or not Debo. They would both be my guy. I just want a high floor guy. And Mike Evans is also on my radar.
Better pick one.
I'm not going to get one back. I'm not going to get a guy to come back. I'm going to take DK. I just think he's going to be a stud.
You got to pick your guys.
Got to pick your guys. And again, there's other guys I could have picked there for sure that fit that mold. But I don't get a pick for 24 picks. So
the thing, like, where Chance is at, and I think we can all agree, like, when you're in those turns, like, you got to go get your guys. Like, a lot of times those guys won't come back to you when you're playing in between like 3 and 8. You can kind of play the draft board a little bit, like, hey, I have 4 or 5 guys that I like in that tier, and then play with it. But like where Chance is at, and kind of where Matt is at, like, you got to go get your guy that you believe in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, it's you got to be you're living with it, right? You're just like, this is what I'm going to do. This is my architecture, my construct of my team. You know, Chance goes running back, wide receiver, and look, Metcalf's going to be a number one easily, and you got him in the 3rd round. So,
and I would have loved Ayuk. I would have loved Ayuk there had I not taken McCaffrey. You know, but again, I just don't want that much exposure to one offense, and I think they'll both be studs, but it just scares me.
So recapping on the draft here, I'm going to go back to Josh Allen, which was the first quarterback to 2-9, followed by Nico Collins, A-Chain, Derrick Henry, DK Metcalf. Devontae Adams comes off in round 3. Kincaid comes off in round 3, followed by Josh Jacobs, Mike Evans, and then a Travis Kelce sighting. So, and you know, that's probably where you see some of those tight ends coming off in round 3. I prefer to wait a little bit longer, but I'm not going to fault round 3 tight end selection here to some degree.
I'm going to put this out here. Josh is watching us right now, and he took Donkey K's because Donkey K is my guy. That's the only reason he took him, because I've been on him about this. K. So I'm at the 8, and like one of my favorite running backs is here. I think he's going to be so good, and he has the weirdest running style.
Wow,
so obviously I want Pacheco really bad here. I think if I can get Debo, Jalen Waddle, or like a Devontae Smith to come back to me in 4, I would be pretty happy. But those are my 2 running backs. That's who I want as my 2 starting running backs. Both bell cow backs. Chance has mentioned this when we've talked in passing. Like, there's not a lot of bell cow guys, and I think Pacheco is one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. Pacheco is a great pick. And then Ayuk, and our second quarterback goes off, which hurts, and it's going to followed by me here. Chance, go ahead. What do you got here while I make a selection?
I was going to say, I'm really liking Team 9. They have A.J. Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Brandon Ayuk. Like, that start to a draft to me feels like a great start. Just two stud wide receivers, a hero RB in my opinion.
Yeah,
that's a great start. That one and where Justin is drafting with Brees, Drake London, Isaiah Pacheco, I couldn't fault either of those teams for how they started. What do you got, Matt?
It's a good question here. I'm debating on
the hustle.
I'm gonna go with Debo.
Debo's a good pick.
Come on. Dang it.
Debo followed by Pittman and Diggs. So again, I'm trying to go best available here a little bit. So Gibbs, Wilson, Samuel, kind of circling back around, and now I've kind of got to decide what direction do I want to go.
Is QB too high here for you? I'm just asking.
A little bit. I think back end. You can wait a little bit. It'll make sense when you kind of see it later. I think if the guys are there that I want, but I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna do one here that I think. Where'd I go here? Where'd he go?
Where's he gonna go? Oh, Matt's going down the list.
I want Devontae Smith. I want a piece of this Philly offense, and Devontae Smith is having just an outstanding preseason. Coaches are raving about him. They're talking about he's had the best one this year, and I know Kellen Moore loves to throw to a slot guy. That has been his MO forever and ever and ever, and that's why I wanted Devontae Smith there. He gets followed up by DJ Moore and then Lamar Jackson, and then Justin's up.
Lineberry, one of your guys is here, man. You got definitely guys to choose from.
Yeah, there's 3 guys. There's 3 guys that I like. So I'm looking Jalen Waddle, Neighbors, and Cup. Mm-hmm. Those are probably the 3 guys. Waddle, I like a lot. Malik Neighbors, I'm probably out on this year just because the quarterback, man, Cooper Cup's looking real nice right now.
I think Cooper Cup's a good pick.
I'm going to take Cooper Cup here because I just want the volume, and I think Puka. I don't know how Puka's going to come back for that injury. It does scare me. And let's not forget, Cooper Cup had the triple crown. I think Chance mentioned it on a few podcasts ago, but him and Matt Stafford are close. They're really close, and let's not forget how close they are, how good a receiver he is. He said he's felt the best he's felt. He doesn't have any injuries coming off this year. 2 years ago, he was pick 4, pick 5, pick 1. Let's not forget about that he's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, we said Lamar Jackson, Cooper Cup, which Justin just picked, followed by a Christian Kirk. I do like the Christian Kirk pick there in the 4th round. Waddle is an interesting pick. He is a boom bust type of guy. But that offense, you just never know what's going to happen with him. I do believe Waddle was injured a little bit last year. I think we'll see a better Waddle this year. Followed by Cooks. There goes Mahomes. We're going double quarterback. Not sure I agree with that, but okay.
What is going on?
I'm not sure, but hey, he's going to roll with it.
It's not Superflex.
A very important thing for your drafts is know the rules of your league and your draft. If you are in a non-Superflex league, don't do the 2 quarterbacks in the first 4-round move. It's super important to know your league.
And to piggyback on that, understand, look at the roster construction in front of you. If someone has a quarterback, they probably won't draft another quarterback till later. If someone has a tight end, know that they probably won't draft another tight end. So understand that too.
So there is also a thing out there, and I'm guilty of it when I first started fantasy, was to try to draft these unusual players, I guess. If it's a 1 quarterback construct, I'm going to draft 2 early or 2 tight ends early, and maybe then I can trade one. But it never works out. You never get the value that you wanted out of it. You just kind of pigeonhole yourself. So just be careful with that. It's an interesting strategy. Maybe works in best ball a little bit. Certainly seen that. But in a redraft PPR league like this, certainly tough to do. Neighbors comes off the board after Mahomes. White comes behind him, and Chance is up with 7 seconds.
Okay, I got 2 guys that I love, and I'm going to go Tank Dell here.
Yeah,
I like that pick a lot.
He looked really good in the preseason. I just trust his connection with CJ Stroud, right? I just trust that they're boys. And then here, I could go with the stack of CJ Stroud and Tank Dell, and stack that. And I do love a good stack, but I also really, Matt's got me on one. I'm going to go AR here. I think Anthony Richardson at the 5, because it's going to be a minute before I can get a quarterback. I want to get in on one of those guys that I think is a top 5 guy early.
Interesting.
I really like that pick. If I didn't take AR or Devontae, I was going to take AR5 right there. I really like him. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He is my number 1 quarterback. I know it's a super bold, but he's certainly a top 3. Again, Shane Steichen. Just go back and look who he's worked with at the peak of their stats. So,
Vince, do you have a target for your quarterback too? Do you have a target for him?
I do. Yeah, I have a QB2 target, a guy that I will target in the later rounds.
Is he Cooper Cup's best friend?
He might be. I mean,
we all know that one.
There are definitely guys later on that I would target that are
one of the mayonnaise boys.
One of the mayonnaise boys, and it could be. There are many mayonnaise boys that I could or would target later on. That just have a really high floor.
Kamara comes off after AR5, followed by Swift. Again, we had that conversation about Swift. He is a boom bust guy. He looks good in preseason. We'll see what they can do with him. I don't fault. It's not a bad RB2. I think it's going to be a pretty explosive Bears team. So Zay Flowers coming off at the 5-4, and we'll kind of go from there.
I will say the other guy that I was flirting with Alvin Kamara there instead of Anthony Richardson. I'm trying to shoot my shot more often in leagues this year on high upside guys. I have really not drafted quarterbacks that high, and I also don't have a ton of fantasy championships to my name. So I'm not saying those 2 things are related, but I'm just trying to mix it up and see if maybe drafting some of these league winners early will pay off for me in a couple of leagues.
Stroud's finally, or we got Higgins and Stroud coming off the board. You know, I think that is a very good spot for Stroud. I like him there. I think it's good value. He is one that, man, everybody raves about him. I'm a little bit curious to see how it's going to go, but we'll see. Love is the second quarterback coming off, and then we have Justin at the 5'8". That seems about right. Stroud and Love coming off about the same time. Chance?
Sorry, I was muted.
That's okay.
I think so. I think that they're both, like good. To me, though, those sort of quarterbacks, if you look at everyone who's gone before them, Allen, Hurts, Jackson, Richardson, and Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes is Mahomes. That's why he goes that early. But now we're getting into that same sort of like real stand in the pocket kind of guys. And to me, they could go a little later. Those are guys that I would take shots on a little later, and I would look at, maybe a running back there, maybe another wide receiver. I mean, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, even Rashee Rice are all guys to me that are like, man, I would love those guys on my team just for their upside.
I'm going to go ahead and get my quarterback here in the 5th, and I think he has a bounce back year in Joe Burrow. That's best available QB for now, and QBs are running off the board. Followed by Cooper. Amari Cooper looking good. Kenneth Walker is probably I was going to pick next. This is an interesting construct by Team 12, which is like Kyron, Barkley, Pittman, Diggs, Cooper, and Walker. Not bad at all, 3 of 3. And then so you know where he's going to go after that. So,
Yep.
Justin, you want to talk about your Trey McBride pick?
So this is usually the typical rounds I go tight end quarterback. This is where I go. I usually try to get 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and then go quarterback tight end just based on how this draft is going. I'm going to reach for my tight end and my quarterback now because I believe in a few guys. I believe there's 6 or 7 top tight ends, and I started that tight end run with Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, Kittle. Now I'm going to go my guy here at quarterback, who I have gassed up all offseason. I'm going to get the stack as well. So that's kind of why I went Trey McBride. Usually Trey McBride's off by here. I would have went Mark Andrews, Kyle Pitts, just depending on who was there. So I'm going to go get my boy Kyler Murray right here.
Love that. Love that for you.
If you haven't watched Justin's about 4-minute video on Kyler Murray, go check it out. It's a good listen for sure. Brings up some great points. Got me a little more hyped on Kyler Murray than in the past two.
Oh, Javonte went
early.
Yeah, he went early.
He's a lover.
So let me flip around here. So Ferguson went, followed by Montgomery, Pickens, Kyler went, Williams, who I know Dak is a big Broncos fan, so high hopes for Williams for sure. Aaron Jones, we talked about in beforehand. Aaron Jones splitting carries in preseason, so we'll see what that looks like. But yeah, so far so good. We are almost through 6 rounds. A lot of good looking teams here.
James Conner.
I do like the James Conner pick. We talked a little bit about Trey, right?
So Matt, explain to me the Jake Ferguson over George Kittle pick.
Yeah.
Why do you like him that much?
Why are you crazy?
So yeah. So no, I'm not. Well, you could say I'm crazy. If for some reason CeeDee Lamb doesn't get paid or sits out, who's going to be the number 1 target?
Cooks, baby.
So Ferguson's going to get more targets.
That's very true. That's very true.
So
I gotcha. That makes sense. Is any team standing out to you? Oh my gosh, Josh, what a great pick. That's his best pick so far. I love that pick. Right after George Kittle.
Yeah. We talked about that early in the show. Rice is probably going to see more targets. He's probably not going to get any suspension this year. I'll tell you what, team 2, I do like the Odunze pick. I have as my bold prediction that Odunze will be the number 1 rookie wide receiver over Neighbors and over Marvin Harrison Jr. It's pretty bold, but I do like kind of what's going on with him.
So we got a comment. So why hasn't Ingram got picked yet? Over Ferguson, over Kittle, over Pitts. Why is he not drafted right now?
Well, he is drafted because I'm taking Evan Ingram.
Okay,
right now.
There it is. Tell us why, Chance.
So I just took Evan Ingram there because I feel like one of my top tier tight ends won't make it back to me. He is kind of right there. I thought he would go earlier, but after him, there aren't a bunch of guys that really get me that excited for who they're going to be or what they're going to be. Now I have to decide between wide receiver, and if I go wide receiver here, or if I run and go get a running back that I think is going to be really good, because I know running back's going to dry up real quick after this. And I'm torn between Zamir White, who had 100% of the first round rushes in the offseason, or another upside guy with Raheem Mostert. I think I'm going to go Zamir White.
Yeah, that's your guy. That's been your guy. Yeah,
it's been my guy, but also like Najee splits the backfield, Tony Pollard splits the backfield. Ramondre Stevenson is on a team that I don't think is going to be very good, and Raheem Mostert splits the backfield. To me, Zamir White was kind of the last. Hey, he owns the backfield. So now I have 3 running backs who are clear-cut RB1s on their team, and I can find a wide receiver later to be that wide receiver 3 for me.
So off the board, so Chance goes Evan Ingram, Zamir White, then Keenan Allen goes, and then Ramondre. Man, I love Josh's last 2 picks. Ramondre and Rashid Rice, his back-to-back picks, really good. Austin Eckler off the board. Matt's guy, maybe Washington's RB1. Who knows? Brian Robinson has something to say about that. Then Dak Prescott, then Najee, then Jalen Reed. Then I'm back to B. It's tough.
It's good. Dak Prescott's really good value at the 7.5. Eckler's probably a little early, but I do like Eckler. I'm very curious in that offense on how things go. Chance, your Zeus pick is phenomenal. I was hoping he'd fall back to me a little bit. I had a feeling he wouldn't, but I was kind of hoping to get that number 1 there. Yeah, a lot of good stuff. The Evan Ingram thing for me, I just don't know. I think there's more weapons there than what that's been there in the past, and that's why his tight end value's been inflated a little bit. But still, that's my opinion. I can certainly see why Evan Ingram people would pick him over Ferguson for sure. So Pollard, Mostert going off the board.
So I took Calvin Ridley. This is not I love Calvin Ridley. I'm not in the Calvin Ridley love fan club, but DeAndre Hopkins is out, and Will Levis is going to chuck that ball. And I was very encouraged to see the O-line play with Skaronski and J.C. Latham. They looked really good on the left side, so it kind of makes me a little excited for the passing volume Calvin Ridley could get initially with Hopkins being out for a minute.
Okay, I'm going to reach really, really big on this just to make sure that I get the tight end here. But I got to get him as my second running back, right? And so I'm gonna double up here back to back. I'm going to go Zach Moss and Chase Brown, because I have to get a running back here, and he's fallen. Here's the thing: he's gonna creep up in value as we go forward. I could have went Jaylen Warren. I'm telling you, I just don't trust the Steelers' backfield. I think it's going to be just all over the board. But gosh, I could go Jonathan Brooks. I think he's going to be a steal for later, but it's a little bit early for me. So I'm going to go Zach Moss with Chase Brown.
Wonderful. Yes! You made it back to me, baby. Let's go. So my gamble was to get Jonathan Brooks, because I'm just already expecting this team to make that playoff push. And that's the only reason I'm drafted him. I was like, sit him on the bench, put him on IR, maybe get Chuba later, so I can just own that backfield for a minute. So that's who I'm going to take, is Jonathan Brooks as my
that's a good pick.
3.
Hey, just a quick break here while you guys are watching and hanging out with us. Man, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Get some likes in there, and we'll just have some fun. We like your comments. I'm just loving all the comments from Rob and what else do I see in here? Peterson, Josh. This is great, man. Get in here, leave a comment. I love to interact. That's just the one thing about fantasy football is there's really no right or wrong most of the time. We just want you to win your league. So get in here and have some fun. Coming off the board, I'm going to go right after Justin. But
what's up, Chance?
Go ahead, Chance.
Just taking this. That is wild to me. That's just going to be tough who to play.
Yeah, that's very true.
Let's say that again, Chance. You were breaking up.
Oh, I just that pick of having both running backs from the Cincinnati backfield. To me, I mean, you have that backfield covered, but how do you choose who to play week to week? Rough.
So we're preseason, right? We're not there. I think they'll declare who the one is. We'll have a better feel as it goes on. I think Brown's kind of probably be the guy, and it may be a split, but I think that was kind of my best pick available. I had to get a running back from where I was. So
it's true.
Moving after Moss was Godwin, Worthy, Brooks, Sutton came off, Brown, Njoku. I really like David Njoku this year. I think he could be very, very good. Lots of good training camps. D. Hopkins comes off. Lad McConkey sighting by the mailman, which I like Lad. I think he's going to be one of the guys they target a bunch. I know we've talked about it on the show. We think they're going to throw the ball more than what people think, for sure. Mm-hmm. So, and then Chubb comes off at the 8-11, which lots of speculation of what Chubb is going to be or if he's even going to get there. So,
yep. All right, Chance, what are you thinking?
Well, so right here, I'm torn between two guys that I'm a big fan of, Deontay Johnson for Carolina or Keon Coleman. And after watching the preseason game, Keon Coleman ran 100% with the ones. For me, I'm going to take that shot on that rookie wide receiver here with Keon Coleman. I do want to hit running back next. We talked about it a little bit in pre-production. Trey Benson didn't look great for the Cardinals. Tajee Spears got a touchdown, but again, a lot of these guys are split backfield guys.
Correct.
I don't really want Devin Singletary with the Giants. I'm probably just going to go best available, which is probably Jaylen Warren at the running back position.
Okay.
Good pick. Bowers comes on after him. Mailman is up.
I love Bowers' usage. He's playing fullback. He played in every single personnel type. Him and Michael Mayer. They all played every spot. So it was nice to see that used tight end predominantly. Even they were even putting Brock Bowers. I think they put Brock Bowers at fullbacks and he scored a touchdown or got real close. But I liked his usage. Tajee looks really good. He looks explosive. Maybe it's switching from 32 to 2, but man, he looked fast. He looked explosive. Looked like he got the juice. I'm not super out on him. He makes me pretty excited to watch him.
Yep. Deontay Johnson went at the 9-4. I will tell you what, they're talking up Deontay Johnson all over the map in training camp. They're saying he's going to get a ton of targets, want to get him involved in that offense. So pretty interesting. Should be a lot of fun.
I do feel like
JSN goes.
Deontay Johnson is for where he's at as ADP, he is a very safe floor wide receiver to me in half point and full PPR leagues.
So off the board, JSN, Brian Thomas, Devin Singletary. So looking at overall, it looks like wide receiver seems like the best value, and then I'll probably try and get a decent running back in the round 10. Christian Watson, not a big fan. Jameson Williams, not a big fan. They've been talking about Romeo Doubs so much. Curtis Samuel has been talked up a ton. I'm just going to bet on the offense. I just want a piece of it. Again, I'm a big Wicks guy. Chance is a big Wicks guy. It seems like Dobbs is going to be in a lot of things, whether it's 12 or 11, so I'm going to pick up him here.
I do like that pick a lot. Let me back up before I talk about it, though. So Deontay Johnson went followed by JSN, which I am big on JSN this year. I know Justin's really off on the Seattle offense. I think their team's going to be bad, but I think their offense will be decent. Brian Thomas Jr. to me is a sneaky pick this year. I think people are overlooking him because we're talking about the three big rookies. There is a chance that Brian Thomas is in near the top of that rookie group. Just with his speed alone. So I'm going to see a lot of screens and a lot of goes out of him for sure this year. Singletary then come off. Romeo Doubs. I'm hearing Romeo Doubs is the number 1 right now in Green Bay. So phenomenal pick getting him at the 9-8. Hawkinson, we'll see if he gets back or how long he gets back. Christian Watson, still a good pick here. I'm going to go off and kind of get one of my guys here. And we've talked about him a lot is Mr. Ford. I do like Ford a lot for Cleveland.
That's who I wanted.
Followed by Robinson and Tua, and then it is back to me. And this kid has looked phenomenal, and I'm going to get as many shares of him as I can this year. It's a little bit of a crowded backfield, but I'm telling you, he pops off in a couple games, and I'm super excited if he does it. And I really want Jalen Wright here.
Okay.
Jalen Wright looks so good in that offense.
All right, so
followed by Purdy and Benson, and Justin's up.
Well, I take my
KP.
Sorry, man.
KP. We're gonna get to your comment here in a minute about Chance's team, so we'll pull that up in just a minute.
So this is tough. I'm gonna. Oh, man, this is tough. I'm gonna take a running back here, and I'm just gonna try and take one of the Charger guys, and I think it's Gus. I'm on the Gus bus.
That's a good pick.
We'll see what happens. We're in the 10th round. I'm just guessing who I think will lead the shares. All right, let's talk about Kadrick's. Let's talk about Kadrick's situation here, about Chance's team.
Yeah. Let me roll to his when we get to there, so just so people that are not on YouTube can get it. But with Edwards, you already talked about. I do like Shakir, and we have JMO from Detroit is a good pick as well. And Curtis Samuel is an interesting pick at the 10-8. And now Jake or Osen is up at the 10-9. But I do want to pull up KP's question here, talking about Chance's team. Too much of a boom bust. Let's take a look while Osen's picking.
So with Chance's team, I think he probably has two of the most steady Eddie running backs, especially with Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry. So those are set it, forget it. I don't think DK's boom or bust. Tank Dell, yes, but again, it just felt like that because of injuries. A-Rich, I get that. Evan Ingram was one of the most consistent tight ends when it comes to targets. So Zamir White does scare me a little bit just because it feels like it's Alexander Madison all over again. And then the Jalen Warren is just like the Gus Edwards pick. He's just trying to guess the running back. That's kind of my observation of Chance's team.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a true boom or bust. I think the if you want to call it that, or really, is the quarterback position, right? That is maybe the boom bust in there with AR5 of what he's going to be. That's my thoughts on it. Otherwise, so if you take that same team and you put like a Hurts in there or a Mahomes, are you still calling a boom bust? Probably not.
And I would say one of the things when I was choosing between Deontay Johnson and Keon Coleman was, to me, Deontay Johnson has more of a higher floor than Coleman, but Coleman has a higher ceiling to me. So I'm in as a boom kind of guy. I could be playing with fire with that. Tank Dell and DK, I would agree that, there were guys who had a higher ADP at the time that I took them, but I'm glad that I got the question. It makes me think back on it. I'm glad you guys think my RBs are pretty steady Eddie. I just want high floor guys.
Correct.
And you are up, Chance, right now. I know you're scrolling the waveforms, but scrolling the rosters.
So after that, we got Dallas Goedert, A.D. Mitchell, freaking Josh has just drafted rookie guys, it feels like. And then Caleb Williams, your guy, Matt.
Yep, I tell you what, I'm big on Caleb Williams. I really like him this year. Goff is another good high floor guy.
Mayonnaise, baby, mayonnaise boys.
That's mayonnaise
boy, but he is gonna throw. He is gonna throw the rock this year. Let's see. I'm just looking at who I pick up here, and I'm so torn. I feel like we're getting into that dead zone if you're just gonna take flyers on guys, right? And I could get some handcuffs here, my own or others. I want a better wide receiver, but there's none of these wide receivers that I look at that I just love. So maybe a redemption project. We had a whole conversation about this player earlier this week, whether he's good or not, whether he's better than Brandon Ayuk. He's definitely the team's wide receiver too, but I just feel like I need another wide receiver, and I'm going to hope for the breakout that I have been waiting since his draft day for him to have, and it's Jerry Jeudy. I hate this pick, but I went with it. There we go. Send it.
It makes sense.
I don't mind that pick though, Chance. I think you had a little bit of an injury or something in training camp. I can't remember. I have to look it up. But man, but I'm hoping this rejuvenates him. There's a lot of buzz around him. He's talking about, man, I got a quarterback that's hitting me in stride. And you and I both have said Judy is one of the best route runners in the National Football League. He has just not hit his stride yet, and we're hoping maybe this will be the year. And for you to get him in an 11.1, good value.
Yeah, like I said, I at this point, all of the running backs are backup guys, and there's nothing wrong with going and getting your guy, especially with 2 rounds left. But to have a guy who is the clear wide receiver 2 on an offense that was really productive last year, I think it was worth it.
Yep.
Agreed.
I feel like me and Josh have been texting too much because he just went and got my boy Herbert, man. He just getting all these guys. We text too much groupthink.
So yeah, just Judy went off, just for those not just listening, but then Schultz, then Herbert, and we've talked about the Chargers. Lots of people are off the Herbert train because they feel like Harbaugh wants to just run the ball. I'm telling you, even the 49ers threw the ball nearly 500 times. They're going to throw the ball, and Herbert's a much better quarterback talent-wise than Purdy. I promise you. So there's going to be some opportunity for these wide receivers. We don't know which one yet. To get some looks here, and I think Herbert's going to be just fine. Elliott comes off, Chuba Hubbard, and then JD5 comes off. That's kind of who I was looking for. Was hoping to hold out there as my second quarterback, but that's okay. And then Dak is on the clock right now.
Dang it. So I really wanted Hubbard to cover my backfield with Brooks. So that's really unfortunate. So man, this is tough. I really want to get one more running back for my team. My roster, I have 4 running backs. I don't know if I need another one to be great. Maybe just pick a boom bust guy. It's really tough. I might just go wide receiver, the guy that I really believe is the one there. And I'm gonna go with Josh Palmer here because I think he is the one there.
He very well could be. Agreed.
What do you got, Matt? You went on a run of running backs.
I did because I really like my wide receivers. While I'm looking here, just don't forget to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hang out with us. Super fun. I'm going to go with a guy that's a little injured right now, and I don't know how long he's going to be out, but I do like his upside, especially with AR5. I'm going to go with Josh Downs, and we'll kind of see what happens. I think he could be the what?
Does this injury scare you at all?
A little bit. I just don't know. It's a high ankle sprain, right? Those can linger, but it's kind of late. And then I'm going to go with a guy that I'm probably reaching here, but I'm going to do it because he just looked phenomenal in his first preseason game, and it just kind of bolsts my tight end a little bit. But I think he could do it.
Oh, I like Sanat there. I like that.
Oh,
Myers comes off after that. Rashid Shaheed, I think, is going to get a lot more looks this year. He's a little bit injured, but he's another good pick that I thought about. And then we're on to the next. So Lockett and Lawrence. What are your guys' thoughts on Lawrence this year? Lawrence is an interesting one. It feels like it's a make or break for him. If those guys that are watching, interesting your take on Lawrence as well. What do you think? Where's he going to finish? Justin, let me start with you, or Chance, let me start with you. What do you think on Lawrence?
I think Trevor Lawrence, he's really starting to figure it out. They have really intentionally gone out and surrounded him with weapons. And I mean, to me, my only problem with Trevor Lawrence, I really think that there's no way he finishes outside of the top 15 for quarterbacks. He's going to have productive plays, but to me, he's a 10 to 15 is where I see him finishing because I don't think he adds a ton with his legs.
Agreed.
But I like that Rico Dowdle pick.
I was in between Rico and JK. I didn't know if I wanted to go all Chargers backfield. I don't like making those decisions. I'm not as confident as Matt is to make those decisions. I'd rather just be like, well, if he's not the starter, I can always just drop him. So I just went Rico. If Zeke's the guy, then Zeke's the guy. If Rico's the guy, sweet, I got to start running back in the 12th round. Sweet. Mm-hmm. I don't know who's going to be the guy. Their left tackle, Tyler Smith, I believe, he looks pretty promising. He went up. He did some 1v1s versus Micah Parsons and held his ground pretty well. So that makes me pretty excited.
Estime comes off the board. I do like Estime this year. I'm very curious what's your thoughts? Any word out of Estime camp?
He looked good, man. He looked real good in the preseason game. I think he's gonna be a hammer, and I think they're really gonna use him to spell Javonte quite a bit. He's just super explosive, man. He didn't test great, but he's a dog, and I think that Sean Payton really enjoys that about him. He makes me scared to own Javonte Williams just a little bit.
Fair. Estime comes off the board, like I said. Charbonnet comes off after that, followed by Brandon Cooks, and who could be getting a whole bunch of targets if CD doesn't get a contract, which kind of brings me up to my next point with CD. If CD gets the contract, do you think Dak is close to follow?
No, I do not think. I think that my prediction is I think Dak hits the market. He hits the open market. I think that they are gonna push for CD and then Micah Parsons and go with those two before they get the Dak deal done.
Yeah, I agree. They got to sign all three of those guys to very fat, because Mike is going to be the highest paid defensive player. CD should be the highest paid wide receiver, and Dak should be the highest paid quarterback. That's just how things go. Jerry Jones doesn't think he can do it. Like, logically, you can do it the way you can do contracts. He's just being weird about it. But I agree with Chance. I think they're going to let Dak walk, and I think Jerry Jones is infatuated with Shedeur Sanders, and I think they're going to try and go get him. There's some decent quarterbacks coming up, and I think he wants Shedeur. Like, his dad came out and said, "Hey, Shedeur's only going to play in New York, Atlanta, or like Dallas or something like that." I can't remember.
Fair. After Cooks, Mike Williams comes off, who broken down. Mike Williams got paper thin hamstrings. Dontavian Wicks followed that. Kirk Cousins comes on at the 12-11.
Josh, man, just picking all these guys that I love. That's who I wanted. I didn't think he was going to come back to me, but
I guess I'm a little bit disappointed in Wicks. I'm starting to fall off the train on him a little bit, as I was a little bit higher with Dobbs coming out, kind of being that number one, Watson and Reed. So Wicks is kind of fallen off. I really would hope he'd get a little bit more looks, but not so much.
I love
good pick on Mason. I love the Mason pick.
I just I had to get him. You know what I mean? Like I just don't think it's worth leaving your draft if you go McCaffrey at the 101. And I got him in the 12th round. It's not like I had to stress, and I had to search him up to find him. It's not like he was even in the draftable guys, but I just wanted to make sure I had him before things got a little crazy. And now, I was like, why can I not search guys? It's because I still have Mason in my search bar and nobody's popping up. I'm going to take that risk with J.K. Dobbins here. Just my last pick. If I can drop him, I can drop him, but just have a part of that. I would say with the Wicks thing, and not to pour cold water on the Romeo Dobbs pick, but Romeo Dobbs has, to me, he's starting to feel like one of those preseason wonders. Like, he's a guy, last year, all the talk was Romeo Dobbs crushing Packers camp. When he came out as a rookie, Romeo Dobbs crushing Packers camp. We always see some of those guys who show up and they're just preseason heroes. And it's awesome. They look great. I don't know. It'd be awesome if he is as good as they say he is, but that's what he feels like to me. He's like a preseason tryhard, Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would agree with you a little bit, Chance, other than he got a lot of targets in the playoffs. He was targeted a lot. Now, Watson was injured, right? And Reed made his mark. But so it's just we don't know yet. You could be right. I could be right. We just don't know. But I still think Wicks is the most talented receiver, just athletically. But we'll see how it goes. Dobbins went off. Leggett, followed by Ajir, Gabe Davis, Mayonnaise Man, and Levis, followed by Firemouth. Bo Nix, which is a great pick. I do like that pick. I think he's going to do pretty well this year, especially this late. And then Justin is on the clock.
So again, we're very end of the round. Last pick. I'm just going to try and go boomer bust. I don't like QJ. Like, I have him in a few leagues. I don't love him that much. Troy Aikman's not a big one. I hate the Patriots offense. I'm going to go Jahan Dotson here and just bet on the talent.
Nice.
He's a first-round guy. I think he's got some boom-bust potential, which is what you're looking for in the backhand round. Like, if he's bad, he's bad. That's fine. And we're just rolling with it.
So I do like Dotson a lot. Kendre Miller went off, and I don't know what's going to happen with Kendre Miller, man. I think we were all high on him. Now he's just having a hard time getting out of the training room. That's the rumor. Ty Chandler's a great pick.
His coach is terrible.
Yeah, that's true. And there's lots of guys I could pick here. I'm just going to pick this guy just because I want to talk about him a little bit. And that is Mr. Ray Davis. I really, really like this kid. I'm hyped up on him. I'm not a fan of Cook. I don't like Cooks. I don't really want to even draft him, but I will take a flyer on Ray Davis. And then the last pick is Musgrave. So just kind of browsing these teams. And Justin, I'm going to start with you. Which one do you like? Which one's like, you know what, at round one or first part of the rounds or first part of the pick, second or the middle or the end? Which team do you kind of like? Was like, hey, that's a good pick from that spot.
Oh man, this is hard. Like, I love Josh's like end around stuff because he drafted a lot of the guys I like. I like Rashid Rice. I like Stevenson. I like Ladd. I like Taji, AD, Justin Herbert's, Wicks. He did the same strategy as Chance and got Algier at the back end of the round. Like, I really like that. I don't know. I really like my team. I'm biased, but that's just me. I think I covered a lot of bases. I do like Team 9. They have a lot of players that I like. But I mean, Josh's the late round stuff is like that's where it's kind of fun because you get to pick your guys. So Rashid Rice is an absolute steal at the 6'10". Like, that's absurd. Like,
yeah,
I think that's the one thing I've kind of learned the past 3 days is, man, Rashid Rice is such a value right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just looking at the teams that we had draft with us that weren't auto draft computer teams. Like, Team 9 looked great, but it was an auto draft team. I do got to give a shout out to my boy Garrett. I really liked his team. He went wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, and really covered all of his bases, and still was able to get Dak Prescott and David Njoku. Like, he still got a really good quarterback and a really good tight end, and then went and just hit some guys that have some big high upside in Curtis Samuel. He got Chuba Hubbard, who could start the year as an RB1. Even his Will Levis pick, like, I think there's some
even Cooks too could be the wide receiver 1 for a minute.
Yeah. So to me, those are all, I'm a big fan of that team. You're right. Team 9 to me would have been a perfect team if they would have taken Raheem Mostert instead of Tony Pollard. I just look at how it's composed, and if the RB1 had been JT and the RB2 had been Raheem Mostert, I'd have been like, man, stud team, love it.
Yeah, boy, lots of good players picked, lots of good draft picks. It's hard for me to pick. I think everybody that drafted did well. Mm-hmm. That's not a auto. 9 is probably the one best auto, but I'm going to flip it around a little bit and just go with the team that I don't like, and that's really Team 2. I don't like that setup at all with the Lamb. I like Achane, but went Lamb, Achane, Devontae Adams, Rachaad White. I think there's better picks around that area. Sure. But the one thing that you when you navigate this stuff is just, you can pick over and over and over. It's like, what did you learn, right? That's the idea. What did you learn from it? What can I do differently? And the one piece of advice I'd give to anybody watching or hanging out with us and doing this is just take best available within your construct of what you're trying to do. Never go into a draft and say, these are the players I'm going to pick, and that's it. And you're going to find yourself all like, oh my gosh, I didn't get anybody I wanted. Mm-hmm. So be flexible. As Bruce Lee said, be like water. Go with the flow.
That's true.
All right. Gosh, guys, we've been here. Let's find. There we are. A little over an hour. Not bad. Got to hang out with you guys and do some cool stuff. Always love the draft. Always love hanging out with you guys and drafting. Any final thoughts? Any final takeaways? Justin, let me start with you.
Just watching the Seahawks a little bit, watching George Holowny get some run and score a touchdown, be a really good third down back. Like, I would love for him to get some run. I felt like the back end of his BSU career was just filled with injuries. He was such a stud his freshman and sophomore year. So I hope he gets to be that third back behind Charbonnet and Kenneth Lothar and get a chance. It was really awesome to see him play well.
Chance?
Yeah, if we're in the season, man, if you're not following some sort of news outlet or keeping up to date, like if you love fantasy football like we do, man, there are so many resources to stay plugged in, but we're going to start getting injuries. We're going to get more hype. We're going to start learning. I can't wait to start seeing cuts. It's going to be a real bummer where they start cutting guys that you're like, oh no, guys swapping teams at the last minute to be just wild trades. I'm here for it. I'm pumped.
Absolutely. It's going to be super exciting. I want to give a shout out to Rob, KP, Josh. Thanks for hanging with us. Our friends that draft with us, thanks so much. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button. One thing as drafts, we are in draft month. We are in redraft month with all your home leagues and whatnot. If you're on the channel and you're hanging out with us, come in, put your team in here. Let us rank you out. Let us see how good you did and where you might have fell or whatever. Let us help you out. We want to see your teams, and it'll be a lot of fun to do. So with that being said, I think we're going to call it a night. Happy Sunday, everybody. Let's have a great evening, and I guess just be ready to roll for next week. Have a good night, everybody.
See ya.